Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time once again for another episode of the Pittsburgh Steelers Q&A. My name is Brian Anthony Davis. Our old pal Jeremy Betts is off on assignment this evening, and I am taking over. So this is the first time that I've had a chance to do this in a while. I am so glad to be here with you. Make sure you come and check us out for all of your Pittsburgh Steeler needs, as the Steelers have two games now. Two games under their belt for this year in the preseason. They're both Florida teams they have played. Now, we are talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 2. The Steelers ended up losing the game against Tampa as they fall to 1-1. But my question to you is, does that really show who the Steelers are, the way they lost that game? So I thought that they looked actually pretty good depth-wise in both weeks. It's just a different animal. So my question is, where do the Steelers fall as far as everything goes? That's the big question. Can we really analyze the Pittsburgh Steelers now? So here's the question. The question is, what do you think? So this is the live stream right now of the Q&A, and what we're asking you to do is, we see people coming in, old favorites, everybody asking me, sup bad, that's really great. I love seeing y'all here, and it feels like a homecoming for me, but it's your show, right? So you need to answer the questions for me. I see, oh my gosh, good friends, Jared Deffel, Kathy Forrid, Reggie Rivers, Pickens, Big Dummy. I love that name. Also, I'm seeing Afton in the house. Brent Howell. It's so nice. Dude Dirty. I love it. So thank you for joining me, since you guys are the first in and the first to see. But throw those questions at me in the next half hour. We are going to go ahead and answer what we possibly can. You can get my opinions on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I really need yours. So my question to you is, do we really think Mike Tomlin's plan is a good one? And I want to ask you that. Now, this has nothing to do with what you think about Mike Tomlin as a coach. What it has to do with is, what do you feel his personnel plan for 2025 is as far as the preseason goes? That's what I want to know. All right, I got to call somebody out. Sensei Iron Lungs. What up, Johnstown, PA in the building. Sensei, this is very important. I don't know if you know this. You may know this, but I'm Richland High School, Richland Rams all the way, class of 89. I got to find out who you are, where you're from. It's very special to me. My Johnstown, my Flood City roots. Born and raised there. So that's very important to me. So you've got to give me some more information on who you are and who you know. Love it. A lot of these names here I do know throughout time. I mean, I know a lot of these names, and I haven't done a lot of live chat lately. So this is really fun for me. So please start answering that question for me, though. Mike Tomlin's personnel plan. That's what I need to know. I was originally really upset about this, and you've heard me say it. And the reason I was really upset about it is I have PTSD. And what it is the PTSD is from the last 5 years of Ben Roethlisberger. It seems, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm looking at this a whole different way, but it seemed like the first 4 weeks of the season, they were completely out of sync. They were not in sync. There was no Justin. There was no JC. There was no Chris Fitzpatrick, who is from Pittsburgh. Is it Fitzpatrick or something like that? Kirkpatrick. He's from Pittsburgh, so I better get his name right, right? There's no Joey Fatone or Lance Bass. They were not in sync whatsoever. Yeah, and I worry about that with you bringing in Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and them not seeing the field. But it's a double-edged sword. And we know it's a double-edged sword, and the reason we know how much that can be dangerous is you can't afford for them to get hurt, but you can't afford for them to have 4 weeks of not being able to get to know each other. That's the thing. They got to be able to get to know each other. And I don't think they do. I absolutely do not think that this team knows each other. Maybe they're doing something in practice that I don't know, but we don't have time, especially with the schedule. For the Steelers, they need to take games in early. That's absolutely what they need to do. Now, Daredevil says trust in Khan, trust in Tomlin. That's why they're well compensated, not the fans. And I agree with you. I am just, man, I've seen those first 4 weeks of the season where the Steelers had to go ahead and stack wins in the middle. That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, and Daredevil, you know me so well that I'm usually an apologist for Khan and Tomlin. I'm usually singing the praises. I'm just like, don't get this. But one thing that made me feel better about the whole thing was Aaron Rodgers from last week. And Aaron Rodgers said this. He said, I get more benefit out of playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in practice, facing off against them in those joint practices. And you're seeing around the league how that really is happening. The Raiders and the 49ers are a good example. They played each other as well. They practiced against each other. And it's funny because the two teams that practiced against each other that I know of, I mean, I know there's others, but these two teams, they went down to a field goal with the last second to win the game, both times. And they also had, the teams that lost those games had a third or fourth stringer throw an interception late in the game to turn it around for the other team, to allow them to kick those field goals. And it happened for the Steelers. So, gotta ask some questions here. Throw your questions out to me, please. So I will ask you questions while I'm waiting. Because remember, it's your show. You pick it. So here's the first question. When we go ahead and look at the Steelers' offense, do you feel that no matter who is on the field, this is going to be a better offense? Because I think right now, we're evaluating Arthur Smith. And if we're evaluating Arthur Smith right now and not individual players, I'm pretty happy. But you could say, well, they didn't score a lot of points in preseason week number 2. But remember, you've got 2s going up against 1s. But there are certain things that we are able to evaluate right now as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those things. My man, Do Dirty. I'm so used to being able to bring this up on the screen. I can't. So Do Dirty says, I'm thinking if they had any issues with this team needing to know each other, it would definitely have been necessary to see them in stadium. I'm going to leave my trust to them. Go Steelers. Yeah. Do Dirty, I agree with you. I mean, like I said, you do remember the Ben Roethlisberger days, though. Maybe it was the fact that it was a veteran quarterback that let him run things, and we're letting Aaron Rodgers run his offense. They're probably having conversations saying, hey, coach, I got this. It's okay. But when you look at the early schedule, that's when that's where you've got to start off strong, because that's in some ways the weaker part of the schedule. You have the Jets. The Jets are not a good team. But you've got a quarterback in Justin Fields that kind of wants revenge, right? Breece Hall's a good runner. I do think the run defense did look very good in this game. But you've got to look at things that way. You have the New England Patriots in week 3. They're not a pushover. I will say that. Absolutely not a pushover. So those are some things that we're going to have to look at here. Week 2 is the Seattle Seahawks. And if you see what the Seahawks are doing in preseason, they look really good. But we're not seeing way too much of their main guys. That means they're a deeper team. So let's go ahead and look. Pickens Big Dummy says it's absolutely going to be a better offense, and it starts with Mr. Rogers. And I agree. I agree. I think, though, what we're seeing is if he is in complete synchronicity with Arthur Smith, though, then it's going to be brutal. Because I mean, we're not brutally good. Brutal for the other teams. Kareem Lindsay says, is it Arthur Smith's offense the problem with not scoring, or is it Mike Tomlin's safe approach to play every quarterback like their third string? That's something that I can't answer because I'm not in stadium, I'm not at Latrobe, but I like that question, Kareem. And the reason I like that question is the fact that I don't think Tomlin's going to be safer. I think he's giving the reins to Arthur Smith. Now, that's easy for me to say and easy for me to speculate. But yeah, I don't know. I do like that, though. I think Arthur Smith's offense last year, if you have any problem with Arthur Smith's offense, you didn't have the right pieces to play. We have all these online games these days, and when you think of an online game, you get to buy stuff or you get to earn pieces that make you stronger. And sometimes you have pieces that are stronger than somebody else because you've been playing for 37 weeks, and that one person comes in and they've got to build some stuff up. Or if they throw in a bunch of money in there, then they have a chance to bring better pieces in. So the Steelers brought good pieces in, and they still have money for other pieces. But the question here that you're asking is Mike Tomlin going to let Arthur Smith use it? But the problem with last year is Arthur Smith did not have the opportunity because he did not have the pieces in play. He had a lot of say this year as well, as far as personnel, and I like that. Pickens Big Dummy says, use the middle of the field. Amen. All you've got to say, 6 words, use the middle of the field. I think they're going to. I think they want to. And one of the keys to the Steelers right now is absolutely Calvin Austin Jr. Now, he's hurt. But if he gets healthy, with everyone else that they have, if you hit him on a slant like Justin Fields did in week 3 against the Los Angeles Chargers last year, he's going to split a lot of the defense and just race to the end zone. I got to think that he's going to. And they're spreading the ball around. They're getting to look at all these guys out there. Everybody's getting targets in these preseason games that's playing. So I think that's very key. Sherry says, if Roman Wilson steps up and the tight ends are used correctly, especially in the red zone, look out. I have no comment to that, Sherry, because you said it perfectly. I cannot make that sentence any better. But I will say I think Roman Wilson looks good. I'm going to ask, does anybody disagree with me on Roman Wilson? I think he looks good. And I keep on saying this ad nauseum. You've heard me say this. Everybody knows, yeah, here's bad. He's going to tell the Calvin Austin 3 story on when he interviewed him. Yeah, I'm going to. And the reason I'm going to tell that story is because I said to him, well, it's like the Steelers have another rookie. He's like, no, I'm not a rookie. Going into my 2nd year. I was hurt. I did not see the field. That's true. But I was in the locker room. I was at the games. I was in the meeting rooms. I trained with the teams. I traveled with the teams. I did everything with the team, just like Roman Wilson did last year. Because of that, and Corey Trice did the same thing. I just heard it from Calvin Austin III. But what happens when you have that situation, even though they're not playing, they are absolutely absorbing. And if they're doing that, my gosh, they do have, it is like having an extra rookie because you didn't have that piece last year. So you have an extra member of the rookie class who's not a rookie. You just have another new guy. If you go back to the 1981 draft, the Steelers picked up a guy named Keith Gary out of Oklahoma, 1st-round draft pick. Keith Gary went to his agent, made sure that he played Canadian football, and he didn't play for the Steelers for 2 years. He went to the CFL, the Montreal Alouettes. But when he came back to the Steelers in 83, it was like they had an extra 1st-round pick. Still wasn't Dan Marino, but it was like they had an extra 1st-round pick. And it helped because he came in with pro experience. So I really like that. Daredevil, Roman Wilson is looking great. Afton, Rowe looks good. He needs to stay healthy and show some flash in regular season play. My hopes are high. I think the system helps with all of this. Robinson 206 full. We need a 2nd wide receiver. You know what, Robinson? I agree with you, and I don't. I think they have the 2nd wide receiver. I just think the 2nd wide receiver has a tight end next to his name. I think they're going to be playing Jonnu Smith as a wide receiver. That's the way the Miami Dolphins played him. That's the way the Atlanta Falcons played him. So I agree with you, but I think one is going to emerge. But here's the big but. Robinson, you might get your wish because it might be the reason they're not paying somebody else right now. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Stick around. I'm just going to take a quick pause. We're going to go in our second half. If you're on YouTube, just listen to the pause. If you are listening, you're going to hear some commercials. You're going to hear some advertisements. Go ahead and hit those people up. They do some good stuff. Stick around. We'll be right back. It is the Q&A on the Fans First Sports Network's Steel Curtain Network. All right, we are back on the Q&A. My good friend Jeremy Betts is not here this week. I get the glory of filling in, and this is one of my favorite shows because you guys write the copy. I don't have to write it. I don't have to whatsoever. Shout out to my man, Jaime Carlo, who says, yo, yo, yo. Appreciate it. Glad to see y'all here. I hope it's Jaime and not Jamie. I don't know. I can't even spell anymore. So let's go ahead and look at a few things here. Now, we went ahead and we had a question. Not a question, it was more of a comment by Robinson 206 full. We need a second wide receiver. Now, I went ahead and said, I don't think that they're going to bring one in because I think that they have the second wide receiver on the roster. Maybe it's Roman Wilson. Maybe it's Jonnu Smith. And when you look back at the last few years of any offenses, with the exception of the Steelers, but offenses that were coached and coordinated by Arthur Smith, you're going to see that their number one wide receiver was one guy, usually a Drake London or an A.J. Brown when he was in Tennessee. And then the second two guys would be tight end. And a lot of the time, Jonnu Smith was one of those number two or number three receivers for an Arthur Smith led team. So we got to think about it that way. But here's the rub. They might still be looking to bring in a wide receiver number two. We never know what these guys are going to do, but they still might do it. And the reason they still might do it might be the reason why they have not been quick to give Cam Hayward the extension yet. They probably are going to, okay? It's probably going to happen. However, we just don't know, because what are they working trade-wise? And that might be the reason why they haven't to yet. So that's probably what we need to look at there. If I did miss some of your questions, I do apologize. We're going to keep on going, but I want you to keep throwing those questions. If for some reason I did not read one of your questions or comments and you want me to look at it, throw it in again. I'm trying to scroll back as we go and as I talk and not giving you long pauses, but we do have some great comments here. One that I think I did miss is Pickens' big dummy. There are going to be DBs making business decisions when they see number 80 coming at them at full speed. Wouldn't you? I would. Yeah, you know, Jerome Bettis always said, he's like, look, the reason I was so successful is these defensive backs didn't want to touch me late in the game. One of the reasons he got stronger, because he was a meat tenderizer. He would just pound at you, pound at you, pound at you. And then the next thing you know, you're like, just, Jerome, go. Just don't hurt me, man. I don't want to get hit anymore. Here's one. There was one here I'm looking for right now, and it was about just a comment about Rock Taylor looking good. Now, if you listened to the postgame show yesterday, I like Rock Taylor. I really like Brandon Johnson as well. Love what Scotty Miller's doing. I think they're too stacked at the position to keep all of these guys. And that's the thing. I love this comment by Brian Brown. Steelers' new camp quarterback did his best Mitch Trubisky impersonation. Yeah, he did. Logan Woodside is not going to be a concern. How many wide receivers do I think they're going to carry? Asked Afton Ford. I'm thinking 6, but I think number 6 is going to be in the Darius Hayward Bay role, which I would probably say that's Ben Skoranek. But Ben Skoranek is better than DHB when it comes to catching passes. He was very good for the Rams in that Super Bowl year and the next year. So I would probably say, if you look at him, and of course, you might see Calvin Austin. If he's not healthy, he might be an IR candidate to start the season. Right now, I don't see a world where Scotty Miller doesn't make this team. I think he is your reliable number 5. So let's look at the rest. DK Metcalf. There's no question. Number 10, Roman Wilson. Number 2 right now. Let's go ahead and throw Calvin Austin the third in there. He will be on the team. It's just whether he's on IR to start. So, who does that leave you? Scotty Miller would be your number 4 then. I said Ben Skoranek. I think Robert Woods is interesting here. Right now, he would probably, you'd look at him as your number 5. But then if you like Rock Taylor or Brandon Johnson, they would probably be in there. I think those are the guys. I don't think there's anybody else in there. But I think Skoranek, because of what he is on special teams, I think you've got to go that way. Reginald, I think Rock Taylor played well enough for a roster spot. He has, but is there room? Let me ask you, Reggie. We've been friends a long time. I think we're friends. You've always been awesome to me. Do you think that Scotty Miller should make this team? Because right now I say yes. Sherry, who has a better tight end room in the entire NFL? Maybe Baltimore and Buffalo, and that's about it. Just saying.
Do you want me to use ChatGPT, Twin?
I do not know why my phone is talking to me, so I do. My phone thought I was asking that question. Siri, at ease. So, Big Pun says Skoranek has absolutely zero upside. Rather go with Rock or Brandon. I don't know. And Big Pun, I respect you. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm just going to give you the opinion that I think he does. And here's the reason I think he does. I think it was week 15 against the Baltimore Ravens. Saturday game. You didn't have Pickens in that game. Russell Wilson to Skoranek at the beginning of that game. It looked like number 15, Ben Skoranek, was going to have a 100-yard game. Then he gets hurt in that game, and they lose him. But Matthew Stafford loved him a lot, just like Tom Brady loved Scotty Miller in Tampa. They seem to find those guys that they like to rely on. So that's kind of what they do. I think Skoranek, actually, if I'm honest with you, I think because of the special teams play, and he always makes special teams plays. He made a number of them last year. I think he has more upside as a special team player than Jimmy Pierre, number 42. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Let's go ahead. There's some more questions here, and I don't want to miss any of them. And now I'm getting backed up. So here we are. The better tight end room in the NFL, Sherry. So I'm going to go back to that. Buffalo's good. Baltimore's good. I'm going to throw in, and I know Jeff likes to make fun of me, the Raiders have a good they have a top 5 tight end room. Brock Bowers is all world. Michael Mayer would be a TE1 on any other team. You just couldn't pass up Brock. In fact, Michael Mayer could be a Pro Bowler on another team. That's how good he is. And them together, they're not going to make great strides this year, but they're going to definitely make up for it. I would say in 2026, start looking more at the Raiders. Big Pun, if I have Aaron Rodgers, I ain't limiting him to a one wide receiver offense. We saw what Aaron Rodgers can do, though, with a guy like Jordy Nelson. And he had some other guys there, and he had good tight ends. So I don't think that's really a problem. But I see what you're saying, Big Pun. The Steelers' 4th-string running back. This is Brian Brown. Does he make the team? He has better vision than most from Central Michigan, I think. Are you talking about Lou? I think it's hard to stash him on the roster right now. It's hard to put him there because you've got two. And then your third one is going to be, in fact, I think your RB2, Jeff was saying this yesterday, and I'm agreeing with him. I think your RB2 is actually number 14. Gainwell is good. So I think you might have to look there. Bernard Dixon, do you think A-Rod is an upgrade from Russ? Absolutely. Brian Brown saying Trey Sermon, he was an Ohio State player. I don't know. I'm really not sure if he does make that team. I think they're good. They might not have the super star, but they do have a good stable there. Afton, who am I going to go ahead and take at punter? And what do we do with the extra? This reminds me of 2011 when they had Brad Wing. They had two Aussie punters. So they had the NFL version of Marky D and Matty P. They had two solid guys. They had to go ahead and trade one of them. And they did. They traded Brad Wing, I think, to the New York Giants. And they kept Barry. Pretty sure that's the way that worked out that year. If not, I'm thinking of another guy. It might have been, there might have been a son of a Chicago Bears kicker that the Steelers had back then. I might be mixing this up. And if I do, I apologize. Wasn't ready for this question. But they did get rid of one of them. But they were able to trade him. Cameron Johnston, I think they're keeping. Corliss Waitman is a guy I'm sure they're going to look at him right now of trading him. Corliss Waitman looks really good in camp. You can't stash one. There's no way you're stashing one. I think the eligibility is gone anyways. It's not like it was during COVID where you could stash guys. But that's kind of what I'm looking at there. All right, so we're going to move right along as we get ready to wrap up. We have a few more things to go over. Brian Brown, is this the best middle linebacker group we've had since Shazier got hurt? Kind of think it's better. And here's the reason I think it's better. Shazier was all world. Shazier would be the number one with this defense, in this linebacking group. You had, of course, Vinny Vidi Vici, who I love. But who else did you have? Maybe LJ Fort might have been there. You had some guys, but you had to go and get Sean Spence off of the couch, who just wasn't good enough. You had nowhere to go when that's Shazier, got hurt. Now you've got a wealth, because I kind of feel like Cole Holcomb's all the way back, especially the way he looked in the first two series yesterday. And back-to-back plays, he looked monstrous. He looked good. Not everybody's in the boat with me on Patrick Queen. I think Patrick Queen is so good. You didn't see it last year. I'm not going to make the excuses for him that I usually make. I'm just saying that I think he's so good. And I think we're going to love him more this year than we did last. There's no reason to think that Peyton Wilson's not going to be a superstar either. then you have other guys waiting in the wings there. So I'm going to go ahead and say, there we go. Okay, you know what? Normally I wouldn't address this. Johnny Pastrana asks, Johnson punted well. 2, why Waitman? Is it because of race? Come on now. If you've watched me or listened to me, you know that I don't see race. It's the fact that they paid Cameron Johnson big free agent money and he got hurt. And they're not going to Wally Pip the guy. Corliss Waitman was floating around free. He was on the couch. But they can still trade him. They're not cutting him. If the Steelers go with Waitman over Johnston, no problem. He's going to be good too. They have 2 guys that I think can be top 10 punters in this league. But the problem is you can't keep them both. And Cameron Johnston, before he got hurt, was booming everything. So, look, Johnny, you know me. That's just, it has nothing to do with it. In fact, you almost offend me by asking. It's all talent. It doesn't matter what the race is. Come on now. Brian Brown, if PFF makes the category for almost a tackle, Patrick Queen should be Defensive Player of the Year. Brian, I'm telling you, Patrick Queen is the best linebacker, inside linebacker on that defense. Patrick Queen makes Wilson better. He makes Peyton Wilson better. He makes Cole Holcomb better too. You just don't understand. I mean, he was carrying the load last year. Landon Roberts was good though. I think they're gonna miss Landon Roberts. But I'm telling you, you're gonna love Patrick Queen. There's gonna be more number 6 jerseys. Really, I mean, going to be. The collectibles tour. One of these days we'll do the collectibles tour. Now, some of them are eBay. Some of this stuff, like the ones right behind me, were my parents' mugs from the Super Bowl. Those beer cans, the Pirates beer can, I've had for years. Most of this stuff was pre-children, pre-2007. And a lot of it's the stuff that I've had since I was a kid. A lot of them are gifts as well. One of these days we'll look at all of them. I want to get my room a little cleaner. I do have I am proud of my collection, and it's probably the only thing that I do for myself as far as that. Keegan Short says Queen had to learn the green dot last year too. And I think he did. The teammates really like him, though. Big pun. What was bad was when he goes back to the punter situation. What was bad was when they cut Waitman to keep Harvin solely because of Harvin's draft status. Yes, and I agree with you. They also let go Brandon Mann, who is a superstar punter for the Eagles, because of Harvin's draft status. I get it. Big Pun, I don't exactly agree with you on the fact that they will screw Nichols over for Caleb for that same reason. I think Caleb has a lot of the tools. We're just not seeing Caleb with everybody around him yet. I feel like we can't evaluate this team. It's so hard to evaluate this team until week 1. That's when we really will do it. As I look back, I think that's everything. Kathy says we had a Scottish guy too, but I don't think that was long ago. Who was the Scottish punter that we had in Pittsburgh? Um, I'm going back to what I didn't see from Big Pun. He's he is very strong on his feelings of Johnson versus Nichols. And I agree. He thinks Lou is more elusive, quicker, acceleration, burst, decisiveness. Tape don't lie. It doesn't. But then I want to see Lou Nichols against Tampa's first defense and Jacksonville's first defense instead of a third and fourth string defense. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Johnny Pastrana, who will make up for the 96 tackles that Minka made last year with a front seven that couldn't stop the run? Who makes it up? I like Juan Thornhill a whole heck of a lot. And I think Deshaun will absorb some of that too. It's interesting. You have some defensive backs that could tackle there, but it's kind of hard because we're not seeing everybody together yet, and that's my theme. It's kind of my cop out theme, and I'm sorry, but Johnny, yeah, those 96 tackles that Minka made last year are so important, and who are they going to have in there instead? I think Juan Thornhill had a bad year last year, but he doesn't look like the guy that had a bad year this year. Peyton Wilson, Brian Brown says, I'm going to elaborate on that. I think Peyton Wilson is a tackling machine. I haven't really looked at this one yet. Something Terrible 15. Thoughts about Baker, according to leaked reports, shredding our defense so bad that they changed their mind and sat him for the preseason game. Tomlin saying we can do historic things concerns me. We're not getting full reports from practice, so I'm not sure. I will say Liam Cohen, who is the Jacksonville Jaguars coach and who was his offensive coordinator and worked with him the year before, really helped revitalize that career of Baker Mayfield. So I don't know. You usually get worried when Mike Tomlin's going to unleash hell and when he's making predictions about greatness. He doesn't do it a lot. You kind of worry when he does. They're not showing us stuff though. We're not getting to see, my gosh, there is such a mum's the word. Not like last year where they had a tracker that you got to know everything last year. As far as that goes, I want to go back to the big thing. And I think the biggest questions to come out of this show is Johnson over Lou Nichols. Big Pun, I don't have a good answer for you. I want to go back to that. But I want to see it in apples to apples situations. And I don't know who he would be. Johnny throws in, Tomlin wanted Minka out of there because he started to vent his opinions in public. Man, the Minka thing's tough for me. Because I was the guy last year saying, now, there's so many guys, I'm the opposite of what everybody else is saying. Everybody else is saying, I was the guy last year saying that Minka's done. I was in the camp saying that Minka's not done. Minka has to do all the dirty work. And that's the big problem here. He has to do all of this dirty work. But I think there are a lot of comments out there, like Cam Hayward was making comments about how 10 people are doing one thing and one's doing the other. And I think there was some synchronization problems, almost like he was going to go rogue. He was going rogue. I might be wrong about that. Yeah, I don't know. Johnny also says Tomlin will never, and he's all caps, so he's serious about it, lead the Steelers to glory. Yeah, I'm holding out hope. I think it has to happen in the next couple years, though, or I don't think it's going to happen. And that might make a lot of people think that, it's never going to happen. All right, so we have gone 15 minutes over, and I think that's a success when we go 15 minutes over. That means you guys had amazing questions. If something happened that I did miss your question, I apologize greatly to you. We do have a new system here, a new platform that we're working off of. And so it gets a little difficult sometimes. So I apologize. That's when I need my man Dave Schofield with me, who's always looking at that stuff. Here we go. We're going into the last preseason game. I could not even tell you. I'm not even going to venture a guess to what they're going to try to do. Who they're playing on Thursday. I just don't know. Mike Tomlin seems to have a plan, and other people are happy with it. I'm not going to question it. Screw that. I'm going to question it. But I do believe in him that he's doing the right thing, because it's just like anything. You know, I like to say that if I'm in a bank and somebody's robbing it, that I'm going to charge the guy. Charging the guy might be the right thing to do. It might be the stupidest thing to do. I could get somebody killed. I could get somebody extremely hurt. Or I could make the save and save the day. I like to think that's what I would go ahead and do. But then I wonder, until I'm in that situation, what am I going to do? I might just sit back and comply and do everything and say, hey, this bank is insured. As long as nobody's getting hurt, this bank is insured. That's what we're going to do. But there's part of me that thinks that I would go ahead and jump in and try to save the day. And then there's part of me that says I better look at the bigger picture here. And so the reason I'm saying that is I want Mike Tomlin to play these guys. But if I'm the coach, am I making that jump? Because I know what happens if somebody gets hurt. That's where the sword gets double. All right. It was a great show. Thank you so much for all of you that has come. I was just about to wrap it up, and here goes. I love me Afton Forward. Anybody with a last name Forward that comes on this show, I love you. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Let's end it on that. For the Steel Curtain Network, make sure steelcurtainnetwork.com. Check that out. Jeff Hartman, Jeremy Betts, Dave Schofield, everybody else, KT Smith, everybody else that is writing on it. I'm missing some of you, and they do amazing things on there. It is so good. We got to get the word out on how great that site is. All right? So definitely do that. You can catch me on my show Bad Language. That's coming up on Tuesday morning. You'll also have a chance to catch me tomorrow with KT Smith. And Here We Go, the Steelers show. Then, of course, it's going to be the post-game show this week, since the Steelers play on Saturday. So with that being said, it's time for me to get on out of here. Thank you so much. My name is Brian Anthony Davis. We can't do these shows without you. We do appreciate you. Nee Drew says, hey, Bad, don't think Robert Woods is making the team. I actually agree with you. I don't think he's going to either. I like some of those guys, some of those young guys, Rock Taylor and Brandon Johnson. But for me, it's time for me to get on out of here. One thing left to say. My name is Brian Anthony Davis. This has been another episode of the Q&A. Jeremy Betts will be back next week. And, as always, I ain't apologizing for nothing. We will talk to you soon. Have a great week. We'll see you, my friends.
Riding on cloud nine, we are living the good life. It's a good, good life. Living the good living the good life.